Hello everybody and welcome to a very special video today because this is actually the 100th video that's set to go up on this channel, the Virtual Stadium Tours channel. It started up around 5 years ago now and started making videos around 3 years ago. It took me a couple of years to actually get my act together and start producing videos on this channel, but we have finally made it to video 100, and because of that I thought we'd do something a little bit special, a little bit of a throwback today. We're actually going to go back to an old series which I used to do called Let's Build, where I build a stadium either from memory or a new creation, and today we're actually going to be building the first ever stadium I ever attended. The first ever football match I saw live was at this stadium I'm going to attempt to recreate today. So I guess let's get started, and yeah, let's get started. Right, so I'm just going to start a new game here. Nice, just a bit of a loading screen. Nice. So this is the screen you get when you're about to start up a new career mode in FIFA Manager 14, which is the software I actually used to start. I used in the first, I think, around 40 videos on this channel. We're all done in this. It's actually a game. It's not a bit of software. I know a lot of people ask me what software I use. It's actually a video game, and I played this so much as a kid. And you know, it just made sense to start making videos using the assets in this game. You know, as a kid I never really got caught up with oh sweet, I've already got a manager set up, video 100, nice. Yeah, as a kid I spent pretty much all of my free time playing this game, building stadiums, managing football clubs, and that's why nowadays I don't really play the football manager games. It's because I got so caught up in this line, the FIFA Manager line of games, that I just never really transferred across because the games work a little bit differently. So right, let's pick a club. This is when it will be revealed which stadium we're going to be building today. So we're in England. Let's move across League 2. Okay, interesting. Barnet. Yes, that's right, everybody. The first ever stadium I attended was Barnet. I'm just going to give myself a 10-year contract here. Why not? Let's do that. No national team, no need for that. That will just slow down the game. But yeah, Barnet was the first ever stadium I attended. I saw the team I support, Plymouth Argyle, beat Barnet 4-0. I believe it was 4-0 at least, unless my memory completely deceives me. Nice. Oh, lovely budgets. Don't need to really worry about them in this video. But yeah, so we're going to be building Underhill. Barnet aren't actually at Underhill anymore. Oh sweet, nice pop up there telling me that I've just started a day at a new club. It's definitely a challenge for video 100. Yes, because Barnet don't play at their home ground anymore, or at least the home ground they had when I first watched a football match. I had to do this pretty much from memory because I haven't been able to go to Underhill, which is, there you go, you can see it there, Underhill Stadium was their old arena. They've now moved to a place called The Hive, which is pretty much a brand new stadium because Barnet Council kicked them out of this stadium. So let's start by taking a look at what the game here thinks Underhill should look like. And I can tell you now, spoiler alert, the real life Underhill doesn't look anything like this. But yeah, the just kind of generic. Obviously the game doesn't have a special stadium for every single club. Only the really big sides, the likes of Manchester United, Arsenal, have a specific stadium. And this isn't Barnet's actual stadium, believe it or not, in real life. So I'm just going to start by deleting pretty much everything here so that we can start with a blank canvas. And yeah, so this was the first stadium I ever went to. I'm going to be building. And it's actually the stadium where I've seen the best goal scored ever. It was Plymouth Argyle versus Barnet. If you haven't caught the trend yet, I support Plymouth Argyle because my family actually comes from that area. But I live in North London now, which is why Barnet was the first stadium I ever went to. So I'm just going to start building the stadium here. While I explain that this is the best stadium I ever saw a goal scored in. As I've already stated, yes, it was Plymouth Argyle against Barnet in the FA Cup, and it was Scott Sinclair, currently plays for Celtic, picked up the ball from a Barnet corner, picked up the ball from that, and ran pretty much the entire length of the field to score against the goalkeeper at the time. I believe it was Graham Stack. It might have been Jake Cole in the Barnet goal, but he beat 2 or 3 players on the run. scored a goal from an absolutely amazing, difficult, tight angle, while I decide which roofing looks best here. I think it was that one. Yeah, triangle D looked best, most accurate to what was actually on the roof, because we're actually doing the facing grandstand here, because the Underhill Stadium had around half of it was standing and half of it was seated, and half of this standing stand that we're building right now was given over to away fans, as well as this end that we're about to start building. Anyway, back to Scott Sinclair's goal. Yeah, he picked it up from a Barnet corner, ran the length of the field, beat 2 or 3 players, scored from an impossible angle. And if you get the chance, really, you should look up on YouTube that goal, because it is something just stunning. Unfortunately, though, the only video I've been able to find of it recently was one with a stupid John Cena theme kind of track going over the top of it. John Cena from the WWE, if you don't know, which kind of ruins it a little bit. But but let's not let it dampen the mood of this video, because I've just finished building what is actually, I think, the newest end, or was the newest end of the Barnet stand. They had it completely demolished and then built a brand new one, and they've got a silly little tower in the corner, which is where I believe the commentators do their stuff. And obviously in this game it doesn't look perfect, because you can't replicate a lot of the charm and kind of just the way a lot of the old stadiums were built, because they were just such a hodgepodge of, well, this will go here and this will do there. And another thing that you just can't replicate about the Barnet Stadium in this game is the fact that it's actually on a slope. One end of the pitch is around 6 to 7 feet lower than the other end of the pitch, and the first couple of times I went to Underhill to watch a match, often it was Barnet versus Plymouth Argyle. Not all the time. I think I saw them play QPR once, and I saw them play Arsenal once, because this is the stadium I've been to most in my life. Because I live in London, I don't get down to Plymouth very often, so don't get to go and watch home games very often there at Argyle, in their stadium called Home Park, which is nice. But the first sort of 3 or 4 times I watched football matches in the Barnet Stadium, I'm just doing the away supporters end of the ground now, which is where I would have actually been stood, which is good timing. You don't realise that the whole ground is on a slope, and one time I actually went and stood on the halfway line for a match, in the facing grandstand, and that's when you really notice that one end of the pitch is about 6 or 7 feet lower than the other end of the ground, so players are actually playing on a slope, which is again just another little quirk of a small stadium like this, something that would never really happen nowadays, just because of how easy it is now to be able to flatten ground out, and how easy it is to do stuff like that. So anyway, I'm just building the away end here, and the stadium, Barnet were actually kicked out of it a few years ago now, because the council decided that they didn't want Barnet to be playing football in the arena anymore, which is kind of sad considering it had been their home for well over 100 years. But the stadium itself hasn't actually been demolished, because I believe Arsenal, I believe it's either their under-23s or under-21 sides, still play games in this arena. I think there is some football team that plays there, and some ladies football team that plays here, so it's actually still a stadium that's used from time to time. It's just that Barnet aren't allowed there anymore, and because of this they had a huge falling out with their local council, the Barnet Football Club, and so that's why they've actually moved out of Barnet now. I think they've moved into Haringey, and they had a new training facility that was being set up worth around £11 million, and part of the deal to set up this new training facility was that they would host, there would be a stadium built there as well for a non-league football side at the time. But during the course of the construction of the training grounds for Barnet, the non-league side that was set to move into that stadium actually folded. They went bust because they didn't have enough money, which meant that Barnet kind of sort of lucked into taking over this stadium that was already on the site that they were using and was partially built. And so what they did is they took over the site, said, hey, we'll just make it a little bit bigger so that and upgrade the safety aspects of it so that it fits league football. And there they go, they had a pretty much ready-made brand new home. And of course it doesn't have the charm or the appeal of Underhill did or has. But you got to make the best out of a bad situation sometimes, and this was Barnet doing that. So as we go on to build the homestand here, and you can see it's actually weird because the centre of the homestand is slightly taller than the outside bits, and that is completely accurate to real life. As I've already stated, this game, I'll never get the stadium perfect, but this is the closest I could get it, because in real life, the stadium was actually taller. The main grandstand was actually taller in the centre than it was on the outside bits, which is really kind of weird, but I believe the reason for that was because they obviously had the tunnel that had to go in, as well as the management and players' benches for the substitutes and the managers. So they raised it up to keep the same capacity across that part of the stadium, that part of the grandstand as well. And I'm also, you can see, putting advertising hoardings absolutely everywhere, because that's exactly what they did. As with commercialism nowadays, they just put advertising hoardings everywhere. And it's quite funny, the little tiny player benches in, because it was so basic, it was literally just a wooden bench on the side of the pitch, despite the stand having to be raised for it. Anyway, that's pretty much done now. So as we take a look finally, as we take a final look at this stadium, at the Underhill stadium that I built for you, I need to say thank you for, well, 100 videos. There's over 100 of you now subscribed to my channel, and I just got to thank you so much. You know, getting the support and the great comments I get from you guys from time to time just make me really want to double down and make more videos, and I really wish I didn't have to work so I could do this more often. But hopefully, just, you know, in time we can do this more and more and get more and more people, and hopefully eventually one day the dream is that this will be my full-time job, but not quite yet. Anyways, we finished taking a look at the stadium now. And you can see there the numbers, it's around 4.5 million to, oh I can't build the stadium, not allowed this investment in your first year. Oh well, it was worth a try. I guess thank you very much for watching, and bring on the next 100 videos. So I'll see you next week for another virtual stadium tour, back to normal pretty much. So thank you and goodbye.